Your phone buzzes. It's your parent. Hey, are you busy this week? You already know this has nothing to do with your schedule. Then comes the sentence they tried not to send. And the heavy part won't be the money they're about to ask for. It's that the payment hasn't even happened yet, and something in you already feels older. Somewhere early, without anyone saying it out loud, you were handed a direction. Money flows one way, parent to child. The grown-up provides, the kid receives. That's the arrow. And for most of your life, you never questioned it because it only ever pointed one way. Then one day, it turns around. And here's the strange part. There's a word for a parent providing for a child. There's no clean word for the opposite. So when it happens to you, it doesn't feel like a normal stage of life. It feels like a private failure. It isn't one. Pew Research found that about 1 in 3 Americans aged 18 to 34 say they helped their parents financially in the past year. This isn't some rare, shameful thing happening only to you. It's a reversal happening quietly enough that most families still don't have a word for it. So here's one. Provider reversal. The moment the arrow turns around and everyone loses the role they thought they'd keep. And in many families, especially outside the independent script most of us were raised on, money flowing back to your parents isn't failure. It's just what grown children do. The first clue that the weight you feel was taught, not a law of nature. If you're the one sending the money, you probably said yes fast, before you understood what yes would cost. Not just this month, every month after. So you do the quiet things. You set up the automatic transfer and don't mention it. Because if it's automatic, maybe they won't have to feel it land. You leave the memo line blank, because what would you even write? You start carrying a second set of numbers nobody else can see. Because the money is only the visible part. Underneath it is the calendar, the phone calls, the appointments, the low hum of being the person who isn't allowed to fall apart. Because someone is standing on the floor you're holding up. And then one night, you're at the kitchen table at 1 a.m. doing math about your own future. And you feel something you're ashamed of. Not love, a flash of resentment. And you hate yourself for it immediately. Hear this clearly. That resentment is not proof that you're cruel. It's the sound of a person carrying a role they were never trained for, with no manual and no name for the weight. And at some point, a sentence shows up in your head that you hate yourself for thinking. I was the plan. Maybe no one meant to make you the backup plan. Doesn't make it weigh any less. You didn't get asked. You got assumed. Now turn the arrow around and stand on the other side. Because the parent receiving the money isn't getting off easy, they're losing something too. Picture being the person who fed this child, who sat up through their fevers at 3 a.m., who paid for things they'll never remember. And now they're the one being handed grocery money, and they have to take it. So they pay it back in the only currency they have left. They insist on cooking dinner, since you're covering everything else. They say, "I'll pay you back," and you both know it isn't true. And the lie sits on the table like a small kindness neither of you will touch. Because for them, the fear isn't about money either. It's this: if I accept your help, do I stop being your parent? Do I become something you manage? The shame of receiving from someone you once carried is quiet. It shows up as apologizing too much, as refusing things they actually need, as the appointment they keep putting off and never mention, because asking for one more thing feels like too much. And slowly, the love itself starts getting audited. Even a small birthday gift now needs an explanation. Is this generous, or can they not afford it? Every kindness gets weighed against what it costs. It gets sharpest when the money has an address. When the help quietly becomes the mortgage on the house you grew up in. You start covering the home that used to cover you. And the house changes hands, not on paper, but in every way that counts. There's a line people say to a young adult who moves back in with their parents. Remember, it's not your house. Here, it runs backward. Your parents never moved. Same kitchen, same chairs by the window. But slowly, it stops feeling like theirs. They check the heating bill before they turn the heat up. They ask you, carefully, almost like a guest, before fixing something that's been broken for weeks. The house that raised you now answers to you. And one morning, it lands on you too. You've become the landlord of your own childhood. The room where you did your homework is now a room you're responsible for. Here's the part most people miss. Both of you are ashamed, and you're ashamed of the exact same thing. The parent feels they failed at being the provider. The child feels they failed at having a normal life. But it's one wound from one source. A single arrow pointing the wrong way, with two people at either end, each convinced the problem is them. The reversal didn't just move the money. It quietly took away both people's permission to be who they used to be. The parent isn't allowed to falter. The child isn't allowed to be taken care of. Nobody gets to be the kid anymore. So let me say it clearly. The shame is not proof that the parent failed. The resentment is not proof that the child is cruel. The guilt is not proof that the love is gone. It's proof that a role reversed, and nobody taught either of you how to survive the reversal. And the arrow was never a law. It only feels like gravity. You already know it bends the other way in other families, without shame. Which means the direction was never natural. It was a script. And a script can be wrong about you while still feeling like the truth. That weight, the one that breaks something the moment the money turns around, that's provider reversal. Two people losing the only roles they ever knew how to play. Because here's what actually breaks first. You can rebuild a budget. That was never the part that breaks people. When money flows backward, identity breaks before the budget does. So if you're feeling the weight right now, on either end of that arrow, hear this. You are not wrong for feeling it. And they are not automatically wrong for needing you. The reversal has a name now. And when a family can't name it, love ends up carrying a debt it was never built to hold. Name it, and you can at least stop blaming each other for the weight of a script neither of you wrote.